Chapter 2: Physical and Chemical Changes. This theme will enable students to understand that there are different types of changes in our surroundings which are slow or fast, reversible or irreversible, periodic or non-periodic, and physical or chemical. In physical changes, no new substance is formed, while in chemical change, a new substance with properties different from the element forming that substance is formed. Learning of these changes will also help in developing different scientific skills amongst them. Learning outcomes. After studying this chapter, students will be able to illustrate different changes occurring in nature with examples learned in previous classes, perform some activities to show some well-known changes, differentiate between physical and chemical changes, and classify the changes. Important terms and their definitions. Change. It is the law of nature which occurs in everyday life. Natural and man-made changes. These changes may be natural, such as growth of living things, or man-made, such as burning, melting of substances, and chemical reactions. Temporary or reversible changes, and permanent or irreversible changes. These may be temporary or reversible, such as change of state of matter from solid to liquid and back to solid, or permanent, irreversible, such as conversion of a seed to a plant. Slow changes and fast changes. The speed of a change can also vary from slow changes which take days, months, or years to complete, and fast changes which occur within seconds. Periodic changes and non-periodic changes. Changes which occur at regular intervals are said to be periodic changes compared to non-periodic irregular changes. Desirable and undesirable changes. Changes brought about by nature or man which produce good results are desirable changes compared to changes which produce harmful results. Physical and chemical changes. Changes which are temporary and reversible, in which no new substances are formed, are said to be chemical changes compared to chemical changes which are permanent, irreversible changes in which new substances are formed. Exothermic and endothermic changes. Changes in which heat is liberated are said to be exothermic changes compared to changes in which heat is absorbed, or endothermic changes. Sublimation. The changing of a solid directly into vapors on heating and of vapor in solid on cooling is known as sublimation. Introduction. In our daily life, from morning till evening, many changes take place around us. We observe them at our homes, schools, gardens, and many other places. For example, we see growing of a baby into an adult, we see formation of curd from milk, we see germination of seeds, ripening of fruits, drying of clothes, melting of ice, burning of a candle, etc. These are all changes which occur around us. Changes may involve different kinds of alterations in the things around us. Types of changes. All the changes which occur around us cannot be of the same kind. Some of them are slow, some are fast, some are desirable, some are undesirable, some are periodic, some are non-periodic, some are reversible or temporary, some are irreversible or permanent, some are physical, and some are chemical. Now let us study the above mentioned changes in detail. Slow and fast changes. All changes take time to occur. Some changes may take hours, days, months, years to occur. Such changes which take a long time to get completed are called slow changes. In the figure below are shown the examples of slow changes. In figure 2.2a, growing of sapling is shown, and in figure 2.2b, yellowing of leaves is shown. Other examples of slow changes may be ripening of fruits, growing of a seed into a sapling, and growing of a baby into an adult. Some changes occur in a short time. Changes that take a few seconds or minutes to occur are called fast changes. In the figures given below, examples of fast changes are shown. In the above figure, figure 2.3a, the paper catches fire fast when we take matchstick near the paper. In figure 2.3b, the cooking gas burns immediately when we lighten it with lighter or matchstick. Other examples of fast changing are lighting a matchstick, burning of a cracker, etc. To know more, change of seasons does not occur immediately. It takes months for seasons to change. Therefore, changing of seasons is a slow change. Desirable and undesirable changes. Many changes occur around us, but are all the changes that occur around us useful or desirable to us? Changes like cleaning of our dirty clothes, cooking of food, cleaning of utensils are desirable changes. So we can say that changes that are useful to us are called desirable changes. Some of the changes that occur around us are not useful to us. Some changes are called undesirable changes. Rotting of fruits and vegetables, spoilage of food, rusting of iron, earthquakes and floods, etc. are all undesirable changes. Thunder during rainy season, volcanic eruptions, burning of petrol, etc. are other examples of undesirable changes. Reversible or temporary and irreversible or permanent changes. We know ice melts on being heated and water freezes on being cooled. Thus, the change of ice into water and that of water into ice are reversible. So are the vaporization of water and the condensation of water vapor. Hence, we can say that a change is said to be reversible when the opposite change can be brought about by reversing the conditions, or in other words, the changes that can be reversed are called reversible changes. Other terms related with reversible changes. Dissolving is an example of a reversible change. For example, we can get black salt, dissolved salt, simply by evaporating the water. Melting is an example of a reversible change. In figure 2.6, ice cube melts on heating but can be changed back into solid cube on freezing. Water changes into water vapor on heating but can be changed back into liquid water by cooling. Folding is also an example of a reversible change. For example, when we fold the paper in the shape of a boat and then unfold it, we get the original shape of the paper. Freezing is also an example of a reversible change. We all know that milk can be changed into curd, but curd cannot be changed back into milk. On being heated, sugar gets charred, that is, it forms a black mass, but if we cool charred sugar, we cannot get back sugar in its original form. Thus, the curdling of milk and the charring of sugar are irreversible changes. Other examples of irreversible change are the burning of coal, wood, paper, kerosene, photosynthesis in plants, etc. Other terms related to irreversible changes. Mixing of substances can cause an irreversible change. For example, mixing cement with water causes a permanent change. This cannot be turned back into cement. Heating of a substance causes an irreversible change. For example, the baked chapati cannot be changed back into raw chapati. Baking is thus an irreversible change. Burning a substance causes an irreversible change. For example, when we burn coal, smoke and ash are formed. We cannot change smoke and ash back. Periodic and non-periodic changes. We have seen a pendulum of a clock. The pendulum moves from side to side or to and fro continuously at fixed intervals of time. The motion of a pendulum repeats itself after a fixed time. The change which repeats itself after a fixed period of time is called a periodic change, or we can say that periodic changes are those changes which take place at fixed intervals of time. The moon changes phase gradually from full moon to new moon and then again to full moon. This change takes place over a period of 28 days. The same change is repeated over the next 28 days, so the phases of the moon is an example of periodic change. There are some other motions which repeat themselves but not after a fixed period of time, like melting of ice or vaporization of water. This type of change which repeats itself at irregular intervals of time is called a non-periodic change, or in other words, non-periodic changes are those which do not take place at fixed interval of time. Other changes of non-periodic changes are change of weather, eruption of volcano, rusting of iron, etc. Exothermic and endothermic changes. Changes in which heat energy is given out to the surroundings are called exothermic changes. All changes that involve burning are exothermic changes. Examples: burning of coal or fuels, heat evolved; burning of firecrackers, heat evolved; glowing of an electric lamp, heat evolved. Chemical changes that absorb heat from the surroundings are called endothermic changes. For example, melting of ice, it becomes water, here heat absorbed. Dissolving ammonium chloride in water, solution becomes cold, here heat absorbed. Physical and chemical changes. Changes occurring around us can also be classified as physical or chemical changes. Physical change. Physical change is a temporary reversible change in which no new substance is formed and the composition of properties of the original substances are not altered. Let us see an example in the form of a figure. In figure 2.10 given on the next page, change is temporary and reversible. Here ice changes to water, which on freezing gives back ice. No new substance is formed. Ice, which is solidified water, gives back ice, which is originally water itself. Composition of original substance is not altered. Ice water changes back to ice water. Properties of the original substance are not altered. The properties of water, ice, remain same when ice changes to water and water freezes to form black ice or water. Here we conclude that a change in which no new substance is formed is called a physical change. Other examples of physical changes. When salt is added to water and the solution is stirred slowly, a salt solution is obtained, which on heating the salt solution, salt remains behind. Here original substance salt is physical change, dissolution is final product salt. When we heat a platinum wire, the platinum wire turns red hot and glowing on heating. Now on cooling the platinum wire, it remains back in original form. Here original substance platinum is physical change on heat radiation is final product platinum. Chemical change. Chemical change is a permanent irreversible change in which a new substance is formed having different composition and different properties. Let us see an example through a figure. In the above figure, the change is permanent and irreversible. Magnesium changes to its oxide on burning, which cannot change back to magnesium. New substance is formed. Magnesium on burning forms a new substance, magnesium oxide. Composition of original substance is altered. Magnesium forms magnesium oxide. Properties of the original substance are altered. Magnesium on burning in air or oxygen forms magnesium oxide, whose properties differ from the original substance magnesium. Generally, energy is either absorbed or evolved during a chemical change. Other examples of chemical changes. When iron fillings are added to dilute sulfuric acid, a chemical reaction takes place and a gas is evolved. Iron reacts with acid forming hydrogen and iron sulfate. Here, original substance iron sulfuric acid is chemical change and plus sulfuric acid is final products hydrogen iron sulfate. When an iron nail is taken and exposed to the atmosphere, a chemical reaction takes place and brown flakes are formed. Iron combines with oxygen of the air, forming iron oxide or rust. Here, original substance iron, oxygen or air is chemical change. Iron plus oxygen is iron oxide is final products iron oxide rust. Add to your knowledge. Rusting of iron can be prevented by putting oil or paint over the surface of the metal. The curd which we add to the milk contains bacteria. These bacteria convert the milk into curd. Difference between physical change and chemical change. Physical change, chemical change. In physical reaction, no new substance is formed. There is change only in physical properties like color, state, etc. In this reaction, new substance is formed with entirely different physical and chemical properties. Physical changes are reversible, chemical changes are irreversible. Most physical changes are temporary, most physical changes are permanent. Heat or light may or may not be given off. Heat or light or both are generally given off. Examples: heating substances such as platinum wire, melting of wax, boiling of milk, addition of sugar or salt to water, etc. Examples: burning a candle, burning of substances such as magnesium, curdling of milk, rusting of iron, etc. Chemical changes are useful for us in many ways. Many useful things that we use in our daily life such as soaps, inks, colors, detergents, etc. are produced due to chemical reactions. Medicines are a result of many chemical reactions. Chemical changes are also used in the purification of metals. Burning of coal, petrol and gas are all chemical changes. A lot of heat is given out in such a change. This heat is used to produce electricity, to cook food and run engines. Changes involve energy. When a change takes place, there must be something that initiates a change. This thing is energy. In some chemical changes, heat is absorbed from the surroundings, while in most chemical changes, heat is given out to the surroundings. In water cycle, heat from the sun evaporates water from the water sources that leads to the formation of clouds and finally to rainfall. When we whitewash our house, we dissolve quicklime in water. On dissolving quicklime in water, we see that bubbles and gases evolve and the container becomes hot. In this type of change, a lot of heat energy is produced which makes the container hot. Changes involve interaction. Interaction of two or more substances is necessary for a change. This results in some change in the properties of substances which interact with one another. For example, in sharpening a pencil with a blade, both the pencil and the blade undergo changes. The changes in the pencil can be seen immediately and the change in the blade can be seen only after repeated use when it becomes blunt. When a change takes place, there may be change in the shape, size, state or position of the materials. The interacting materials themselves may undergo a change. Fast track chapter at a glance. A large number of changes take place all the time around us. Changes can be classified as slow and fast changes, desirable and undesirable changes, reversible and irreversible changes, periodic and non-periodic changes, endothermic and exothermic changes, physical and chemical changes. In reversible changes, the body restores to its original condition. Changes in which no new substances are formed are called physical changes. Changes in which new substances with entirely different properties are formed are called chemical changes. Physical changes affect only the physical forms of the substances. Chemical changes take place as a result of chemical reactions between two or more substances. Every change involves energy in one form or the other. Interaction of two or more substances is necessary for a change. Chapter 3